All right, it looks like we have everyone here. Good afternoon, or depending on where you're joining us from today, good morning and good evening. I am Dr. Justin Smith, and I have the privilege of working with your student as the member of the undergraduate program team in the McDonough School of Business here at Georgetown University. This is the McDonough School of Business Dean Session for Parent and Family Orientation. If that does not sound right to you, I will put a link in a moment to the parent family schedule in the chat so that you can head off to the right location. Today's agenda is going to include a welcome from our dean, introductions from one of our professors, introductions from the dean of the undergraduate program, and then I will moderate a Q&A panel with some of those folks, as well as chairs of our Parent Advisory Council. So without further ado, I will start off by introducing our first speaker, which is Dean Paul Almeida.
Thank you, Justin, and good afternoon, everyone, or maybe good morning and good evening. Thank you all for being here today. We are proud to welcome you to the Georgetown Hoya family. We look forward to seeing many of you in person in a couple of days. We're excited to welcome all our students, our first-year students, our transfer students to Georgetown and the McDonough School of Business. This is always an extremely exciting time for us as students start moving in and we get to meet so many of them. And I remember why I joined academia. I'm still inspired by our mission and our duty to give your children a rich Georgetown education. And we take that responsibility very seriously. We will do our very best by your students during this semester and beyond. Now, every school at Georgetown cares about our students. But at Georgetown McDonough, we have a special team led by Dean Patricia Grant, who you will hear from later today. And their care and their commitment to your students, to their learning, to their careers, to their formation is unparalleled. Once you become a part of Georgetown, you will always be a part of our community. And so today is the beginning of a lifelong relationship. Before I go on, let me tell you a little about myself. I've been a professor at Georgetown for just over 27 years, and I'm now entering my 6th year as dean. But first and foremost, I'm a dad and a husband, and both my kids graduated from Georgetown, and even my wife did her paralegal studies here. And so I know a lot about Georgetown. And though I've been at Georgetown over 17 years when my son first entered as a freshman in a class 10 years ago, I've learned so much about Georgetown through my children. I've been lucky to see Georgetown through their eyes, to learn from their friends about the dorms and the clubs and the hopes and their fears and their challenges, the high points and the low points. And we know that the first semester, especially in a new place, can be challenging or strange. But we want you to know that we will do our very best to adapt so that your children receive a rich and complete Georgetown experience. And when they look back, like my kids do many years from now, they will remember good things. They will remember great experiences. And this will be the launch of their careers. You know, talking to you all today reminds me of when I first came to Georgetown. Now, I had a background, you know, through school of Jesuit schools, and I knew about the dedication to education. I knew about the commitment to make a difference to the world. And I just finished my PhD from another school, and I was interviewing. And I went to several schools, and Georgetown, I think, was like the 8th or 9th on my interview list. And when I came here, I noticed two things which were entirely different from every other school. One, this was the first school that even students interviewed me. And everyone asked me about my teaching, about how I interacted with students, about why I cared. And this had not happened at any of the leading schools I had interviewed at. And I said, wow, this place is different. But even more than that, I remember feeling the sense of community. Everyone I talked to, looked after each other and talked about community. And I remember thinking, Georgetown has extremely good PR. They all talk about community. And then I realized we didn't have very good PR, but we had a deep commitment to looking after each other, to caring for each other, and making each other's experience great. And I promise you that same commitment to true learning and to your students and to creating a community that can make a difference to the world. Now, I know it's not easy to get into Georgetown, and your kids chose Georgetown and applied and got through the process. And it's part of the reason for this is partly because of our very distinctive characteristics. There are a few other good schools, but we combine three important qualities that I think no other school has. First, we're in the global capital city of Washington, D.C. And why I think this is important is we're not just located here. We're a part of the fabric that makes this wonderful city work. Where else can you get a combination of business and policy and international relations and multinationals and multilateral institutions and technology? This is a wonderful learning lab for your kids. And we will make sure that this experience is something they actually feel and are a part of. And I know Professor Bob Bies will talk a little bit about this in some time. Secondly, we are at the McDonough School of Business, but we never forget and we cherish the fact that we're part of a greater university, Georgetown University, with great expertise in the School of Foreign Service and the college and the medical school and the law school and the School of Policy. And so by bringing business, which doesn't exist in ether, to embrace law and medicine, we can tackle big problems that exist in the world, and we can provide real solutions. And your children will get an opportunity to examine this. And thirdly, and perhaps most importantly, we're a Jesuit school. And I went to Jesuit schools all my life. And I know what a difference it makes. Those values, that sense of identity, that commitment to serve the common good and make a difference. This is so important because I know you want your kids to learn. I know you want them to do well, but I think even more than that, you want them to grow, to be complete human beings and make a big difference to the world. And so we make this commitment to you that we will take advantage of these positives we have and integrate them into the curriculum, into the co-curriculum, into your students' experiences so that they will come out even more strong and positive than they are today. And so we continuously innovate for the future. We have initiatives on important issues which we think are going to define the future. So, for instance, we're doing AI analytics on the future of work. We are tackling the business of sustainability. Lots of people make the moral case for sustainability, but we know that business is a key part of making the world truly sustainable. And we have to understand what's the case for it, what's the case against it, how do we overcome it. We've introduced excellent programs in business and global affairs. One with the School of Foreign Service, where your children can study with the students from the School of Foreign Service over 4 years and come out with a joint degree. And this year we're introducing a joint degree with the college in international business, language, and culture. We're emphasizing entrepreneurship and innovation because the world's changing so fast and is dynamic. And we want your kids to learn how to fail and get up and keep going, to take risks, to explore new landscapes. This is all going to be possible through their experiences at Georgetown. And finally, we're looking at the business of health which we all know, especially having gone through COVID, is so critical for the human race and for successful careers. So we are continuously upgrading our curriculum, upgrading the experiences so your kids have the very best. So, of course, your children will learn and grow, but just as important, when your children come to Georgetown, they become a part of the fabric of our community that stretches across over 100 countries. We know that their experiences over the semester and interactions with current students, alumni, faculty, and staff will give them a strong sense of what our community is all about. And this community of alumni, students, staff, faculty, and parents will be key to their learning and formation, and also their continued success over time. They will do well for themselves, and they will also serve the common good. After all, our mission is to train our students to be something special, to be both the best in the world and the best for the world. And beginning today, together we embark upon the journey to fulfill this mission. So thank you so much. Welcome to Georgetown and Hoya Saxa.
Thank you very much, Dean Almeida. Up next is Professor Bob Bies. He's a professor of management here. Take it away, Dr.
Thank you, Justin. I'm really happy to be with you all here today. I've been here a couple more years than Paul's been here, and I love Georgetown University. I grew up on the West Coast of the United States in a little town called Seattle, which I was there a week ago at a conference. And that's where I got my undergraduate MBA at the University of Washington. And then I went down to Stanford University, so I'm a West Coast kid for the United States. Then I migrated to Northwestern's Kellogg School. And then I came here to Georgetown, and I fell in love with Georgetown, much like Paul was talking about. It's a place that's special. It's a community. It's a university that embraces people. It's an international university. But it is a university, which means there's academics. And that's part of why you come here. And within the business school, we have the best faculty teaching, whether it be in the area of finance, whether it be the area of marketing, OPIM, operations, information management, accounting, international business. We just have the best faculty and to teach it. So your students, your young ones are going to come here, choose a major. But I will also encourage them to remind them that half of the courses they take here at Georgetown University to graduate from the McDonough School of Business, they have to take outside the school. There's some requirements they have to do. But I would encourage them to also think about getting a minor. My son, Brian, who graduated in 2018, he got a minor in theater and performance studies. You have to take 8 courses, but he loved it. But also you can double major within the business school. You can do finance and management. I would always encourage management as a second major because it turns out most of the things you do are in teams. And we help you on leadership, innovation, entrepreneurship. But also this is a place where you can explore ideas. And it is a place for ideas. It is the life of the mind here. But also what makes this place unique and very unique is we have a first year seminar. And as part of that first year seminar, we have a social impact consulting project, and I direct the first year seminar. And this year, we have 12 sections, and there's 20 students in each, and within each section, they create teams of 5 people, and they have a challenge that's given to them by a nonprofit that I've chosen. And this year I chose the DC Central Kitchen, which is located here in Washington, DC. The mission of DC Central Kitchen is use food as a tool to strengthen bodies, empower minds, and build communities. And the challenges that they're facing are huge, but they're important. So our students are going to be engaged in coming up with recommendations and presentations for them to come up with ideas to help DC Central Kitchen solve some of the major problems, because their mission is to combat hunger and poverty through job training, training people how to become chefs, cooks, and job creation and job training. But they also believe that hunger is a symptom of a deeper problem of poverty. So our students will be working on that. They'll go down and visit the site where DC Central Kitchen is. They're moving to a new 36,000 square foot location in Southwest Washington, DC. So our students will be engaged with them. And then we have in-class competition, and then we have competition across the 12 sections. We call them semifinals, and out of the semifinals, we have the Final Four, because at Georgetown, we love basketball metaphors, Final Four. And then we have the Final Four, where the leaders of DC Central Kitchen will come in. and evaluate their recommendations. But one of the cool things about the social impact consulting project is that we have Deloitte consultants come in and work with our students to give them advice, listen to their presentations. My daughter Kelly, who works for Deloitte, graduated an MBA in 2018, same year her brother graduated. She'll give feedback and consulting advice, how to make a better presentation. And I think that's one of the really cool things we do here at the McDonough School of Business. But one of the things also that I would encourage the students here, the first year students, the transfer students, is reach out to faculty members. It turns out faculty love undergraduate students. I love undergraduate students. So reach out to them to ask for their ideas. One of the pieces of advice I give is in the first 2 weeks, go visit your faculty members, all your faculty members, whether it's in the business school or outside, introduce yourselves. Within the business school, faculty want to meet undergraduates. They want to spend time with them. And maybe you can help them on their research, or it could be, we have something every summer called the SURF Fellowship, which is the Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship, SURF, where you can come up with a research idea and get a faculty member to monitor and guide you through the process of doing research. This is one of the really cool things that we do here at Georgetown within the McDonough School of Business. So we talk about the academics. We have the best faculty. We really do have the best faculty in the country and the world. We really do. And who want to teach your young people. And then you can take courses outside, get minors, double major. And then we have the first year seminar and with the social impact consulting project. But also let me come back to the faculty who really want to spend time with the students, first year students and beyond. So I would encourage them again to meet with them. But other things I would say about Georgetown and having had an undergraduate graduate here and an MBA student graduate from here, a couple other things I want to say is I would encourage them not just to embrace the curriculum, they should do really good stuff. Oh, and by the way, I'll tell you what I teach in a second here and what we're trying to do for the future of the business school. But I also would encourage them to do an escape program. First year students, an escape retreat program, I would encourage them to sign up to do an escape retreat. They go off in the Shenandoah. It's a beautiful part of Virginia, and they do an escape retreat. It's fabulous. But let me come back to what I teach and what I'm doing for Dean Grant. I teach 2 courses. I teach a course called Heroes and Villains. It's a first year seminar. But the other course I teach is one called Imagination and Creativity. And the major project for this course this year is to redesign the undergraduate business school program for 2035, to view it as part of an international, with an international alliance to build leaders who have purposeful and social impact in a multicultural world. So we're trying to redesign the undergraduate business school program for 2035. So that means that your students will come back, your family members will come back in 10 and 15 years and say, what happened? Because we're trying to redesign. So that's what I think the Georgetown undergraduate experience is so great about. We have faculty who love the students. We have courses that are great, double majors, outside the majors, including the majors are great, but also outside the school. But also embrace Georgetown University, do an escape program. And if you're gonna go off campus to do a little bit of eating some good, wonderful food, don't just go to Georgetown Cupcake. My high recommendation is Baked and Wired. That's the recommendation from Bob to you today, Baked and Wired. So I look forward to teaching the first year students. It's coming up soon. So thank you so much. I look forward to hearing any questions you have. So now I'll pass it back to Justin.
Thank you very much, Bob. I wanted to quickly just point out that there is a Q&A feature in the bottom of your Zoom screen. So as you've listened to Dean Almeida and Professor Bies, and in a moment, Dean Grant, perhaps a question has come up for you. Feel free to put that question in the Q&A, and when we move to our panel discussion, they will be able to answer it. And up next, without further ado, Dean of the undergraduate program in the McDonough School of Business, Dr. Patricia Grant. Dean Grant, please take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. It's really a pleasure to welcome you all to Georgetown and the Hilltop, and in particular the McDonough School of Business. We're really excited to welcome you into the family that we have here. And really, you've been hearing so much about the people and the community, and I want you to know that you're part of that. It's so critical that we work together for the success of our students, and that's what we aim to do. And so what I want to show you next is just who will be here with your students on the Hilltop, on this second home that we call here in the Hariri building. This is the undergraduate program office team. as you see on the screen. And we are really here to dedicate our efforts to the success of our students. And so you will see that we do a variety of things. In addition to advising, we are focused on the career and overall success of students. And so next I want to show you the deep work that we do. It's everything that you've heard so far is all about the intentionality with which we educate our undergraduates. Part of that education is very much steeped and focused on what we call the McDonough Blueprint. Today I'm going to focus on the foundation and the attic, if you will. If we look at the path and the journey of our students as a blueprint, they experience Georgetown in the ways that you see on the screen. They are immersed in all of the opportunities that are in the global realm, the opportunity to engage in applied ways through experiential education, really having the opportunity to translate their academic learning in the classroom and the research that Professor Bies spoke about, but also to take that learning and bring it out into the world and really make an impact and use business for the common good, as Dean Almeida talked about. All of that is about their personal formation in the spirit of Georgetown in the Jesuit tradition. But we see well-being as the foundation of our work with our students and making sure that they are engaging and experiencing well-being in all domains and functions that well-being exists. And I won't go into all of it, but I just want you to know that that we really focus on making sure that our students are performing at their best, and that they are at their best as they approach their studies and their career journeys. And so, as I move forward, I just want to talk to you a little bit about our career support. Many of our new students, whether they're in their first year or are transferring to Georgetown, are necessarily, and we understand, focused on what will happen when they leave the Hilltop. What will their careers look like? Will it be like what they intend to do right this minute? Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. But at the core of it all, we really focus on career exploration and using coaching as an avenue for that, and making sure that students get an opportunity to get off of campus and engage in our many signature programs that bring students together in community, not only with our alumni through our Spotlight series or Host a Hoya series, but also through our various treks and Fridays in the Field, where they get to move out of campus and explore career opportunities and companies that exist here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, or even more broadly in California or New York, and we hope one day abroad. But it's really an opportunity for our students to try things on for size, to not, not take what their first area of interest is and narrow their options, and make sure that they understand all of the opportunities that are in front of them so that they can find their best fit. And we're excited to do that. And we have wonderful peer career advisors who work in that realm. And so as you continue to engage with Georgetown and the McDonough School of Business, both you and your student will get to understand a little bit more about who we are as an undergraduate program team, the ways in which we help to guide students through their academic journey, but also their transformational journey to becoming men and women for others who will do business for the common good all across the globe. And so really excited to get into the question and answer portion to talk about the various things that you've heard so far. And thank you in advance for your great questions.
Thank you very much, Dean Grant. As Dean Grant mentioned, we're going to move into our Q&A. So again, I want to remind everyone that Q&A button is at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions, these are our lovely panelists today, Dean Grant, Professor Bies, and I'm going to give now the opportunity for our Parent Advisory Council co-chairs, Monica Isabel de Ayala and Guillermo Pla, to introduce themselves. They are three-time parents, McDonough parents, and so give them the floor now so they can start off by introducing who they are.
Hi, I'm Guillermo Pla. Monica and I have been part of a community already for 7 years. We had 2 sons graduating from the McDonough class of 2020, class of 2021. One is currently a junior and he's doing his semester abroad in Sydney, Australia. We've been so blessed with this community, and our children have grown so much that it has been incredible so far.
Hi, I'm Monica, and we wanted to congratulate and welcome all of you to the Georgetown McDonough family, and to tell you that your children couldn't be in better hands at Georgetown, and especially at the McDonough School of Business with their fantastic team. We just wanted to say that it's a little bit overwhelming the first semester. I remember being as nervous and excited as my eldest son was. But just take everything in stride and get to know the resources that are available to you. You're going to be receiving information continually, and to make the most of them, so that you can help your student adapt and adjust as much as possible. There's a whole host of resources available to you. Just take your time to get to know them. And welcome.
Thank you so much, Monica and Guillermo. And of course, they're going to be here for your questions too. So if you have a question for some current parents, some veteran parents, very experienced folks, they would love to answer your questions, as well as Professor Bies and Dean Grant. And I will also be here to answer your questions. And we do have a couple of questions already, so I will get us started. The first question was, can someone elaborate more about the Escape Retreat program? So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can speak to the Escape Retreat program. One of the signature aspects of any Jesuit universities, but particularly Georgetown, is to retreat, the importance of reflection, getting away. And the word escape really is literally. And what you do, you get escape up into the mountains of the Shenandoahs of Virginia. And it's not a religious retreat. It's really more of a reflection, getting to be with other first-year students. It's a signature piece of what they do, and they go up there and they do things together. They get to know each other. They get away from the the first few weeks where things are just going crazy, just to get away, to come back. I heartily recommend doing Escape. You either leave on a Friday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon, just for 24 to 36 hours, and you come back. But you get to meet people that are outside of the McDonough School of Business. Maybe you can go up with somebody else, but it's a signature part, because what we try to do here at Georgetown, at least what I try to do, and we try to do in the McDonough School of Business, is to help young people unleash the greatness of who they are. And one of the ways they do that is to be more intentional about reflection and understanding who they are, to go back to that well-being that Dean Grant was talking about. So I heartily recommend doing Escape. My son used to be the student leader of Escape, so I've been up there, and it's a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you for answering that, Professor Bies. The next question is, do students have a specific advisor, student athletes have a specific advisor at the McDonough School of Business? And I will just quickly answer that to say our students are broken down alphabetically. And so they have a specific advisor if they're a varsity athlete who works with them in varsity athletics. So they kind of have 2 advisors, and we work in tandem to support student athletes. So they would work with their advisor or their dean in our office by their last name, and then they would also have that additional support person who is, like I said, in athletics. So it's a little bit of a combination of how we would work with your student. So the next question is, what is the process and options for internship opportunities? When do students typically focus on internships?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that, and anyone else who wants to talk about it from a different perspective. But for us on campus, as we've been talking about, every student will have multiple opportunities to be mentored and to be guided by the members of the community here at McDonough. There will be faculty who will engage with them in their career journey. There will be our advising deans who will engage in some efforts around their career journey, and there will be alumni who will do that. In addition to that, we have a dedicated resource in our McDonough Undergraduate Career Development Center run by Talia Schatz, who helps students to really ascertain, what direction they want to go in, and to do so by exploring first and understanding, what directions they might want to explore further, to do so as early as their first year if they want, but to not feel compelled to do so, because we have students all across the spectrum, some who start in their first year, engaging in internships here in DC, as well as over the summer, and others who engage in an internship after their junior year, get an offer, and they're off to the races. And so it really does depend, but we encourage exploration at as early as is necessary to truly discern and understand what path to take. And there's so many paths, and as the future of work continues to reshape and reform, there's so many more careers that are available now and are coming available than existed even 5 years ago. And so our job here on campus is helping to illuminate those opportunities for students, and doing so in every encounter that we can, especially through internships and the opportunity to visit different companies and things of that nature.
Thank you, Dean Grant. Next question I will give to Professor Bies, which is, the question was, how many faculty comprise the McDonough School of Business in the McDonough School of Business? So I don't know, Professor Bies, if you have that number off the top of your head. But
Well, I'll tell you, when I came here, I was faculty member 29. We're now in triple digits. We actually moved to this new building back in 2009. In terms of tenure track faculty members, it's over 100. If you add all the professors of practice and the adjunct, you're probably getting closer to 175 people who teach. But the faculty, so it's good that we have that many faculty, so you can reach out. And we have a diverse set of faculty in terms of interests, backgrounds, and experiences. So it's a lot of faculty, but a lot of faculty who care. So it's over 100 tenure track faculty, those who are tenured or trying to get tenure, and the rest are professors of the practice, and we have great professors of practice and adjuncts. So it's we're moving towards the 175, include all those.
a lot of really amazing, wonderfully gifted, and very smart people here. Thank you very much, Professor Bies. The next question is, how often do students meet with their advisors on a regular basis? I can quickly answer that as one of the folks who would be meeting with your students. We will meet with all of our incoming students. So those are our first years and our transfer students, their first semester. So typically September, sometime in September, we'll meet with your students. We'll talk to them and generally about academic planning. But we'll be meeting with them specifically in small groups or perhaps even individually. In September. Prior to that, we meet with them during new student orientation. And of course, they can reach us a variety of different ways. We have email, of course, but we also have text messaging. So really proud of our McDonough School of Business. We're one of the only groups, folks on campus who do text messaging with our students. They can reach us by text message, as well as they can make an appointment with us. They can stop by for drop-in hours. So many opportunities for them to get in touch with us and to connect with us when they need something. But of course, we do have some intentional times along the way in which we will interact with them, and a couple times in the next month or so. So the next question, and maybe I could ask Monica and Guillermo to answer this, is the person said, someone mentioned a semester abroad. Could you talk a little bit about that works? And maybe you all could talk about it from the perspective of parents. They also said, what opportunities are there? So I will happily, and Dean Grant can happily help in terms of rounding anything out, but maybe that would be great to share your experience having a student abroad right now, or soon to be abroad.
Yeah, well, we have 3 sons, 2 that have graduated and 1 who is actually on his junior semester abroad. And all 3 of them went off the first semester junior year, the eldest to Hong Kong, our second son to Australia, and our third son to Sydney, Australia as well. And it was a discussion in our family because we were an international family. So by going to Washington, they were already abroad. So we really thought it through. But I have to say, it has been the most incredibly enriching experience for the three of them. It was the perfect complement to the rest of the time at Georgetown, not only academically, but also for their outlook of life, and for their general education. So it is definitely something to consider and to think about, because it is a really valuable opportunity for them during their 4 years at Georgetown to be one semester in a different country, learning a new culture, and studying in a different place, meeting new friends, seeing new places. For it has been incredibly rewarding. There are a variety of programs all over the world, from Europe to Asia. Uh, it takes time to go through them. So it's something that seems far away, but that, is important to look at, perhaps not exactly in the first semester, but definitely during the first year, because there are so many options to find the best one for you, for your child.
Can I add, Justin? Because my son also did study abroad at the end of the first year. He went to ESADE in Sant Cugat, Barcelona. And it was a transformative experience for Brian to go to Spain. Just being over there for 6 weeks and just immersing himself and just exploring the world. Because I think that's what we want to do. We want him to explore the world. And as much as he grew up in DC, Spain had a huge influence on him, positive influence on him.
Thank you very much, Monica and Guillermo and Professor Bies. Really quickly, we have another question about study abroad, and so we can maybe wrap this in. It asks about, do they take a full semester of classes while abroad? Yes, the student will take a full semester of classes, depending on where they go. They may take 4 classes, they may take 5 classes, but they would work with my colleague, Dean Skillman, on mapping out that plan. As well as you can think about study abroad as both a semester abroad. We do have a couple of students do a year abroad, but very much more common to have a semester abroad. We have summer study abroad programs, and we have specific ones in the McDonough School of Business that you can meet business requirements. And then we have something called the Global Business Experience, which is an international consulting project that they can do junior or senior year, and they get to go abroad and present on that consulting project to their client in a variety of different locations around the world. So there are many opportunities to dip your toe into the global waters, if you will. And I think your student will find those opportunities when they get to campus. And as Monica and Guillermo said, maybe not the first semester, but definitely something that they should be thinking about their entire time here, and that we can engage with them in conversations with as well. There's another question here that says, my son is having a hard time finding an available class within the school. Is there one you would recommend that would still be available to register for? And I will caveat here real quick that I definitely encourage them to talk to their peer ambassador and their dean if they're ever having trouble finding a class, but I'm not sure if there are anyone else wants to recommend any specific classes in the business school to consider at this point, but I definitely would recommend they reach out to their peer ambassadors who are students who have taken classes here, so they're probably the best person to recommend coursework, but also their dean. We are more than happy to work with them to ensure that we're they're meeting all the needs and that they're working towards their degree progression. But are business-related clubs important to the MSB experience? Dean Grant, do you want to talk about the student organizations in the business school?
Sure. So our student organizations are definitely opportunities for students to learn about leadership, learn about their own leadership styles, and also to learn about the academic areas of emphasis that each club tends to have embedded as part of its mission and core activities. And so we have a number of clubs that focus on finance, some that focus on consulting, others that are focused on the actual major, and have an opportunity for students to connect as members of that major. But I would say that there are so many clubs on campus, that hundreds of them, that really allow students to do some very similar things. And so I would encourage, and I do encourage all of our students to explore the variety of clubs that exist. And really, before they join any club or, try to get, a leadership position with any club, that they're actually learning more about the clubs and how they function and whether or not it's a club that they're actually interested in. We do have a number of clubs at Georgetown that are highly sought after, and it's mainly because they're the clubs that students hear about more often than not. But we've had students who have said, I thought I wanted to join that club, but as I learned more about it, I realized that I actually had more interest in this area or that area. And so I would say, just with careers, students really ought to spend the time to invest in exploring clubs before actually joining them. And some have a closer tie to what they're studying in the classroom, and others are more loosely tied from a leadership perspective.
And also, to build on that, they have a club fair that on Red Square, so you can actually go and meet and talk with people. I think you want to find the one that's right for you, or the one's right for you, not what everybody else wants, but it could be right for you. That's just been my experience with my son, as well as the first-year students and beyond that I've taught.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to add that you should tell your sons and daughters not to rush. They're coping with so many things these first days. So we always think that it's better to consider the clubs after the end of the semester, or even
one club,
or one club, but not to think that they should be joining clubs already on the first few weeks, because they're dealing with many other issues. So it's a fantastic experience, but it shouldn't be something that generates or trigger a stress these initial days.
All fantastic advice from all of our panelists about student organizations on campus. Thank you all. Professor Bies, this is a great question for you. For a student who didn't get into a first-year seminar, what would you recommend to develop relationships with professors, and sort of what is their next best option?
Well, I think what you do, you're going to have business school faculty members. You're going to have some business school classes, even if it's not a first-year seminar. So you can, connect to someone like that. But what I would do is I do my homework on, look at all the faculty, and they have their interest, and you go reach out to them. Be bold. Reach out to them. You reach out to me if you didn't get a first-year seminar. Come see me. I'm more than happy to talk to students, as other faculty are too. Even if you're not taking a class with a faculty member, you can still reach out to a faculty member. Just say you're a first-year student, and our doors are always open. And so I would look at the interests of research interests of faculty. Maybe they came from a certain part of the world, or that the student is from. I would reach out to them. But I would also talk to your peer ambassadors. And we also have something I want to highlight that Dean Grant does exceptionally well, is there's a mentoring program for faculty mentoring students, but also some of us, I have mentors in my Heroes and Villains class, mentor other people in my Heroes and Villains course. And I think when you talk to those mentors, those peer ambassadors, they can also give ways to connect to faculty, because they know more of the faculty. They've been here a year or two longer, and they can say, you got to go talk to her. You got to go talk to him. So that would be, I would say, just stand up and go knock on a door or send an email. We respond.
Thank you, Professor Bies. Dean Grant, this question's about Fridays in the field. Are all MSB students eligible to participate in Fridays in the field?
Yes, when those opportunities come up, students get notification via the prospect newsletter that comes out from the McDonough Undergraduate Career Development Center, and it goes to all students, and so students can sign up. It's first come, first serve. There's almost always room, however, so I highly encourage students to sign up for those sessions that they find of interest. And there'll be plenty as more opportunities come online this fall.
Thank you, Dean Grant. This question I'll open up to all of our panelists. I think would be really great to get everyone's perspective. But what is the most common challenge in the first month for a Georgetown student that you have perceived, and what are good recommendations for them to rise up to that challenge?
I will say three things. I'll say them quickly. One is that one of the challenges, sometimes students tell me they don't feel like they belong. Trust me, if you got admitted to the McDonough School of Business, you belong. You belong at Georgetown. You're smart, okay? You're smart, and you need to believe that. Second thing is, I always tell people, it's find a friend quickly. Reach out to a dorm mate. It's real hard. It's one thing to be alone, but be lonely. If you're with somebody, you're stronger. You start forming friendships. You see somebody at one of these social events, reach out to somebody, because you can't do it alone. You won't do it alone. But also, I think if you rely on the undergraduate business school deans and the academic advising are wonderful. But even stop by and talk to faculty member just to introduce yourselves, to realize that you actually do belong. If you got in, you belong. And to realize, find a friend, find someone you connect with, and then reach out to other people. So you create a small group that you're doing it together. And that in time management. Time management, it's a big issue. But I'll stop right there.
I concur with Professor Bies that one of the I think that one of the things that the kids are most nervous about when they enter is are they going to make friends? And that's why the roommate system is so valuable, because you have an instant friend. Whether you're going to get along well or not, you have somebody to go out and start orientation and exploration with. But my suggestion is to encourage your students to be proactive and to go out there. Everybody's in the same boat. Everybody wants to meet other kids. So it's important to attend as many of the orientation activities as you can, and to be proactive. Everybody wants to make friends. So it will happen. It's not, it's something that is open and easy to do if you just, are a little proactive.
Which is another reason to go do an escape retreat. You're out there with 30, 40 people who are all probably thinking the same thing you are. And all of a sudden you realize you have so much in common.
Yeah.
In that same vein, part of what we've been talking about is knowing when to ask for help and actually asking for that help, right? Taking the opportunity to be vulnerable, right? To go on an escape retreat with people you've never met before, and then, return with lots of friends, both those that are in your class and those who are leaders of that retreat. And so college in many ways is an exercise in vulnerability, in learning from taking risks. And in many ways, those that do those things find it easier and easier to take those risks, to be vulnerable, and to get the rewards from those risks that they take.
Really great answers. And I'll quickly to that the conversations I've been having with students lately revolve around discipline, and the discipline to give yourself structure. College is a lot of freedom, and sometimes students these days, find themselves, as the students have informed me, in a TikTok hole. And so they're on TikTok in their, residence hall for 4 or 5 hours. And, that is a real time suck. So, how can you be disciplined and create space and structure for yourself so that you can enjoy all of the many amazing opportunities here at Georgetown? So discipline, and that's a really great conversation for you to be having with them maybe now before they come to campus. We have one question that we have remaining, and the question is, what is the role of the Parent Advisory Council? And so I thought that would be really great for Monica and Guillermo to answer, and then Dean Grant, if you have any other thoughts too.
Yeah. The Parent Advisory Council are a group of fantastic parents of students at McDonough that meet twice a year at Georgetown usually. And we serve as parent ambassadors for the business school, make ourselves available, especially to the incoming parents at the business school, so that parents have other parents to contact, because it's not easy to know them right away before you've come to campus and met other parents. But we're here for parents, for questions, doubts, discussions. That's what we're here for. We also serve as a resource for the McDonough. We're very lucky to serve as a resource for the McDonough leadership team for when they need feedback from a parent's point of view, or to hear through the parents about their students' point of view. So we have a lot of discussions among us about different range of topics, so that McDonough can also hear the perspective from the parents. And so but our main purpose is really to be parent ambassadors for the McDonough Business School.
I don't have anything to add to that. That's a perfect characterization. Thank you. Thank you, Monica.
Yeah. Well, that brings our Q&A session to an end. I want to thank all of our panelists for being here today and answering all the wonderful questions we have. Of course, it wouldn't be Georgetown McDonough without giving you an opportunity to take a minute to follow us on Instagram as MSB Undergrad. So Instagram.com/MSB Undergrad. If you have your phone in front of you and you scan that QR code, it will take you directly to that link. We encourage all of our parents and families to follow us online, stay up to date with all the amazing opportunities in Georgetown McDonough. And with that, we will again say thank you. We know there's many opportunities for your children, for your students to go, and we really do appreciate you giving us the opportunity to work with them over the next 4 years. There's a lot of other great parent-family orientation sessions, so we again encourage you to explore and learn as much as possible. And if there are any questions that you have, of course, you can reach out with your student to their dean, or you can email us at msbundergrad, all one word, at georgetown.edu. And with that, that will conclude our session today. Thank you all so much.